because I think he'd have to take a full year off just to prep his body back again to be a professional fighter. Being a professional wrestler is a little different. There's a lot of durability that you have to have, but some things end up falling by the wayside, and you end up working around with more injuries than you do as an MMA fighter, I think. So I used to train him in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I trained him for some of his last MMA fights. I know he's capable, and I know he's very talented. So, but I think he's doing the right thing right now, and he's showing the great elements of Japanese professional wrestling, of strong style in America, where the wrestling culture could really, really stand to learn some things from Shinsuke Nakamura.
What did you make of Conor McGregor coming out and obviously being quite disrespectful to the WWE guys a few weeks ago? What did you kind of make of that? Because I know you're a big fan of professional wrestling.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, he says a lot of brash and boisterous stuff, and for him to insult the WWE doesn't surprise me. Nor will I think it'd be the last group of people he insults or brash comment he makes. That's part of his his appeal to some people, I guess, is that you just never know what sort of stuff he's going to say. I tend to agree with CM Punk's assessment of things, of wrestling in general. I think that there's a lot of people involved in professional wrestling that 30, 40 years ago would never even be let in the door of the building. Wrestling is not full of the same tough guys that it used to be. You used to have to pay your own way, go out, do a tryout to get the ever-living crap kicked out of you, and for most people, and for the company to usually just go, nah, he doesn't have it. When Ric Flair was coming up, he was training with the Iron Sheik, Khosrow Vasily, who was a world champion in Greco-Roman wrestling from Iran, a wrestling superpower. He had Chris Taylor, who was the Olympic silver medalist, who was thrown by the German in an amazing suplex. And Chris Taylor's 400 pounds. He had Billy Robinson. He had Vern Gagne, who was another Olympian. These guys would have to run miles, wrestle for real, then work on their techniques of their holds for the matches, and then go run more and go lift more and go. These guys went through training as if they were going to be real professional fighters. Wrestlers nowadays learn how to do choreography. So there's a lot of professional wrestling that has been lost. And but I wouldn't expect Conor to be speaking about that specifically. He just wanted to stir up the pot. And it's not like anybody from the WWE is going to show up on his doorstep and start punching him.
And obviously there seems to be more and more crossover these days with professional wrestling and MMA.
Sure.
Do you think MMA can learn something from professional wrestling? We've got like CM Punk here now, Brock Lesnar returning at UFC 200.
Yeah, absolutely. They could stand to learn a lot from the world of professional wrestling on how to promote, on how to be a personality, how to individualize yourself in a sea of people that often have the same responses to the same questions as everybody else, and wearing the same clothes. Hell, we are wearing the same clothes now. So you need to find another way at which to let your individual light shine out. And I don't doubt that there are some professional wrestlers that have the qualities and the background at which that they could compete in MMA. Bobby Lashley is one of my students, and he's got a fight in Bellator coming up against Josh Appel, and I expect him to win by either the first or second round. He's very capable. So those athletes do exist.
How do you think CM Punk is going to do in his debut?
I don't know. I only hope that whatever the case may be, he goes out there and he puts on a really worthy performance, that he shows that he's got what it takes more than anything else. I hope he wins, of course, too, but I think it's just, in the long run, it's just more important that he shows that he's made of what's necessary to be an MMA fighter, and knowing how hard he works and how much drive he has. He didn't become one of the top draws and top workers in professional wrestling because he sat around waiting for something to happen for him. He achieved those things because he's got a very driven mindset. So I expect that has been applied to what he's doing here in MMA, and I only want and expect good things from him.
Do you think you can see him having a long career in MMA?
I don't know. I think he's 38 as well. So maybe not all that long, but a fulfilling career in MMA, yes. I could see him easily having been done with MMA at some point and just looking back and go, yeah, I'm really glad I did this. This is, this was absolutely worthwhile, and he lived out a dream.
Just speaking to obviously Arlovski, going back to obviously your fight on Saturday, he said obviously when I asked about obviously your paths maybe crossing before back in 2010 and that never happened, he said go and ask Josh. So what's your response to that? Obviously, why did that not come about?
The big reason it didn't come about is because Affliction went and ran a show in Vegas when I said from the beginning, we don't need to be in Vegas. Don't go to Vegas. Vegas is UFC land. It's just not going to work out. So, but there was a lot of.
Sorry to interrupt you, but he seemed angry at you for some reason. Which is why I wanted obviously say to you.
Oh, well, I'm so angry that he got to fight on Showtime with Elite XC and fight Roy Nelson and get a win. So I don't know what he's so mad about, but I'll give him something to be angry about, or at least depressed about after Saturday.
So Josh, both you and Arlovski are obviously extremely experienced veterans. You fought the who's who of the heavier divisions. But what do you feel that you present to Arlovski that he hasn't seen before in previous opponents?
Gorgeous blue eyes, a certain chiseled jawline, and a very masculine profile.
How have the fans here in Germany kind of reacted to you or responded to you so far?
I don't know. I haven't met a lot of fans in Germany yet. From what I'm hearing, MMA has not been the kind of thing that has been able to break mainstream in Germany. We'll see after Saturday.
Can you talk a little bit about Karl Gotch from Belgium? Because we are from Belgium.
Yeah. Carl does. Karl Gotch was an amazing person, not just in the realm of professional wrestling, but for modern MMA. He is a good reason of why modern MMA emerged out of Japan, starting from the New Japan Dojo. I guess I'm considered kind of a great grandchild of Gotch because his original students were the people that passed down a lot of the techniques that came to the people that taught me. And so through Karl Gotch trained Sayama and Fujiwara, who trained Yorinaga Nakamura, who trained Eric Paulson, trained me, and Karl Gotch trained Minoru Suzuki and Funaki, who trained Matt Hume, who trained me. So, I have a very close lineage to Gotch. I got to train with him some and meet him, and he was a fantastic man. I wish I could have had more time with. But I do carry on. I try to think that I carry on his legacy in combat sports, as well as Billy Robinson's and that whole Wigan Snake Pit history. So, when I'm going to the ring, Carl is with me, Billy's with me.
Speaking of Japan, you recently were training with a friend of ours, Carl Albrechtsson, who's going to be fighting in Japan soon, and he's a big up-and-coming light heavyweight in Sweden. So I was thinking, for those of you who aren't really aware, could you just talk a little bit about the kind of training you do and what kind of a fighter Albrechtsson is?
Well, Carl came out last year, I believe, to come and train with me at CSW, and I'm a big fan of Omar Buish and his guys. Carl has a lot of that old school mentality towards training, of being a complete fighter, of the catch wrestling background, as well as also being a talented Sancho fighter. And he's just that kid is I expect him to be the future of MMA at 205. He's a real incredible talent. And while he was there last time, we were able to get him into Metamoris, where he took second place in that Challenger Series. And he also won another grappling tournament after that one that I put him in. Then I was able to talk to the booker for Ryzen and helped Carl to get into Ryzen as well. And so knowing that the openweight GP was coming up, I hit him up and he talked, and we started chatting. So he came out, and I had him come along with my camp and work with him and give him a strength and conditioning program to work with and to really try and help prep Carl, because I think that he would be a really strong dark horse to win that whole tournament. Only a dark horse because people don't know him yet, but I think that his talent is ever growing, and he's incredible. I think that he could easily be Sweden's best export next to meatballs and IKEA.
Obviously, coaching, up and coming, and obviously teaching. How does that help you going into your fights?
It just gives me more things to consider mentally. You know, it keeps my mind occupied on fighting, but it also gives me different perspective, so I can apply what I'm giving to my students to myself.
What do you think about the return of Crow Cup and the whole Horizon tournament, old school?
I think it's great. I think tournaments are sadly missing from a lot of MMA. I think one-night tournaments as well should be done. Not necessarily all the time, but we need them. Every combat sport in the world has a one-night tournament or a two-day tournament or something like that. Everything. The Olympics is a tournament, you know what I mean? So clearly it has some importance. It also shakes things up. It allows for new stars to arrive. It creates new challengers, new champions, all that kind of stuff. I think it's great that Krokop is over there, being able to fight in Japan. I think that fighting in the UFC was fulfilling to him in some ways, but I think that his best side of himself, his best moments, and where he prefers to fight the best is over in Japan. I think that it's going to really pay off for him.
You've also got a very strong connection to Japan. How important was it for you to get that win over Roy Nelson and do it in your home away from home, so to speak?
Yeah, it was very important. There was no way I was going to go out there and lose that fight in front of those Japanese fans, but also, I was fighting for Japanese MMA to try and give an example to bring more interest back to it, to uplift all the fans of Japanese MMA and the fighters themselves, try and help that market again, and also to show an example for all the great athletes that were on the road to UFC Japan, and to not just lead through instruction, but by example.
What do you think about self-promotion in MMA?
It's absolutely necessary. I mean, we are individuals. We're not out there fighting for, a football team, right? We're ourselves. We are our team. So we have to be self-promoting. We have to give something that makes us stand out from the rest.
So you think there's a really strong connection between the skills you have in the cage and the self-promotion skills? You can just let the fight talk.
No, I mean you could just let the fights talk, and there's some people like Krokop. His personality itself is just, and his fighting style, they meld, right? They seem very well matched, and they bring a lot of interest. But for others, perhaps they need to let a bit more of their personality show. We are working in the entertainment industry as well as the sports industry. So, we're not out there competing in a vacuum. People have to pay to see us fight. And if they pay to see us fight, then they can afford to pay us. So it goes hand in hand.
And what about movies? You have acted in a lot of movies. Mm-hmm. And do you plan to do it in the future? And also to work not only on acting and also on fighting stunts for movies, maybe to make them better?
Yeah, I mean, I have done some stunt work, and I have done even fight choreography for some movies. Like the choreography for my fight scene in Absolution with Steven Seagal, I created that fight scene. I put it together with the stunt guy, and we shot it as almost entirely as I built it. Yeah, I absolutely plan to go back to movies. When I'm doing this stuff, it keeps me from being able to go and do movies. I've had lots of movie stuff that I've had to turn down because of fighting, much to the chagrin of my manager. But I enjoy doing the film. I enjoy the challenge that it brings and how it's nothing alike fighting, and it requires a different part of me to be able to be successful in it. And I've got a lot more work to do there, and I look forward to it.
So that was the last